Alright, good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome back to our weekly updates of the presidential election model. By the way, I'm probably going to do a review of the Canadian election at some point this week, maybe. I don't know. I meant to do a prediction for that, but it kind of got lost in the middle of having to take a trip all the way through a different state and almost to a swing state, and I'll let y'all guess which different swing state um, I almost made it. I almost got sent to, and that was for IRL stuff. Um, and then getting back, I was kind of drained this weekend, so that's kind of why I didn't do an episode of my soapbox or anything like that. And yesterday, I had some meetings run late, and I was just mentally drained from that, so that's why I didn't upload yesterday, especially considering I just crashed and watched the game. And I may at some point talk about that, but goodness gracious. When I say that, I mean the game. Anyway, I just got back from my bowling league that I do on Tuesdays, and all I'm going to say is I shot 650 over 3, so I could have done a lot better, in my opinion. Um, Honestly, I was on pace for 700 going into the third game, and then the lane just dropped. It just turned into something that I couldn't get a clean read on. Anyway, so let's actually talk about this election map. Okay, cool. So the election map, as is, Trump had a really bad end of last week and a really bad start to this week. So I think that's why it's showing this. Um, we'll know a little bit more, but I'm glad to start seeing some state level polling and more national polling coming through. It's going to make this model. It's going to calibrate it a lot better than with the just straight approval rating. So that's really useful, and I may start sliding back how much approval rating matters. But then again, with enough quality, high level polling, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And like I said, at the start of the new year, I'll start rolling back ever so slightly the fundamentals, scaling how much is actually each fundamental affects it um, until it's completely gone. To a degree, I think I'm going to keep at least one fundamental in there just in case, because that'll help control things. But anyway, let's talk about this. There will be a link to both of my models in the description, the new ones. If you're new to the channel, please bookmark these. It's very important, and of course, also likes, comments, subscriptions, yada yada yada. Y'all know. Anyway, let's talk about this. So, when it comes to the model that I've got here, and y'all can play around with this. This is the forecast, which includes a lot of fundamentals and polling, fundamentals and stuff. This is just the straight polling, and this shows an even worse picture for Donald Trump. Obviously, if you want to look at this, you're more than free to. And basically, these numbers are just the actual expected vote total. This is a model of fundamentals and what I consider the forecast, because it takes everything into account. This is polls only, and I would be lenient to use this until we get closer, especially because right now approval rating factors in heavily, and well, this is the District of Columbia, and I don't think he's getting anywhere near that in the election. So again, use that one grain of salt, obviously, with everything. Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about this map and kind of where it's showing. So these colors, the tilt colors here, I'm using when I'm talking about the model anything that is within 5%. Now, the reason why I'm not using it as a more narrow band is because, if I remember correctly, 538 put out an article where they found that ratings from professional pollsters that are within the tilt range tend to be within 5% margin of victory. And then, of course, lean tended to be between 5 and 10. Likely tended to be a little bit further afield, between 10 and 15. So I decided to use that to account for the margin of victory. And that's what this is showing, is that party is ahead by that amount. So anything in the darkest shades, the Republican, in this case Donald Trump, is ahead by at least 15, and anything that is shaded in the absolute darkest shade of red. And the Democrat, a generic Democrat at this point, which is all I'm forecasting. I'm not doing specific matchups right now. I'm working on trying to do some analysis into that because I want to try and do the best I can, but I want the primary field to winnow down a little bit before I do that. But anyway, all Democrats in totality would win by 15 or greater in the darkest blue. Then the likely, let's find a likely state. Colorado is a good example of that. That'd be between 10 and 15. Republican Donald Trump in Montana, Kansas, Missouri, South Carolina, Utah, same thing. Alaska and Maine second is in the lean category, and then the tilts. But what this doesn't tell you is that my model is showing Iowa and Ohio within 2 points-ish, 2 to 3. Georgia within 1% or thereabouts. Texas within, I think it's under 4 at this point, at least with my model. Stuff like that. So it really doesn't show you exactly how, and I'll make sure to point out any interesting tidbits. Obviously, this is probably the best a Democrat has done according to the forecast portion of my model. So yeah, that shows just how bad of a week Donald Trump had in approval rating polling, and how bad this is going to look going forward. Now, I know this is going to sound very cynical, but I expect his numbers to bounce back at least a little bit, despite the rather I'm not sure if I should say inappropriate, even if I think it is definitely improper. But the improper comment he released earlier about the impeachment inquiry, I definitely don't think it was the right way to phrase what he was trying to say. He was trying to say that impeachment was wrong. I disagree. I think they have grounds to impeach. I would like a higher burden of evidence before removal of office, however. But that's just where I sit on this, and I think I covered that in the soapbox on that. So anyway, that's about where I'm sitting on this. Yeah, the 2020 is not looking good for Trump if he can't keep his mouth shut. So we'll see what happens, but I'm thinking Democrats do have a reason to be optimistic going forward into 2020, especially now. They've basically fallen face first into a chance to actually defeat an incumbent president. They kind of got lucky in that regard. If it was Rubio, I'm not even sure we'd be discussing Democrats having a chance to make the incumbent lose. I really don't think we'd be talking about that. Anyway, I want to thank all y'all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a nice day. And remember, likes, comments, subscription, yada yada. Take it easy.